Hi, Jeff and Zach. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Steve.
Hey,
Thanks for
Steve.
having me.
Good to have you guys. So, unscientific polling from realtors, commercial brokers, and whatnot identified several states that they're optimistic and positive when it comes to real estate investing. Wanted to get your guys' thoughts, insights on those. That listing was Tennessee, Texas, North Carolina, Georgia, California made the list, Florida, state we're well familiar with, Nebraska. Nevada were among those states that were identified as good future prospects for investing in property. Some of your thoughts on some of those names on those lists, ones you like, maybe ones you disagree with.
Didn't California just have a hurricane? And
It's
I
true.
think that hasn't happened in 90 or 100 years. So now you got fires, mudslides, earthquakes, and hurricanes in California. That's not my favorite state. Um, I was going to
Well,
say
you
out
forgot
of
the
those,
mudslide of taxes coming through as well.
uh, I was going to say that the one thing in common, except for California, across all of those, they're business friendly. So they're landlord friendly, they're investment friendly. Um, I personally think that Texas and Nevada are overbuilt, and they are very high on a list of targets that people have always had. So I think you're fighting at this point for more scraps than you are meat. My favorites are still Tennessee, North Carolina, and Florida. I think there's a lot of runway and room to grow, and we see a lot of interesting things and deals in those states ourselves on the commercial side. So it does not surprise me that there's a lot going on there on the residential side. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think I would just second that. I think Tennessee is very attractive for a lot of reasons and still has runway ahead of it to grow and including the business friendly nature of it, the growth you've already got and getting a more diverse economy there. I would say just one caveat with the California, which I'm also not a huge fan of because it's not business friendly. That did come within the feedback with the caveat of some locations in California versus really advocating the entire
Ah,
state. But still, I
so,
think
so you're not
we
saying
just
San Francisco?
no, it was people were not advocating for San Francisco. It's a huge state, so I can see that point, but I think we've always just been more comfortable doing business in states that actually want business done in them. Um, and on that note, yeah, and Florida has just been absolutely booming. Georgia definitely checks the box, as do North Carolina, of states that want people
Right.
to be there. And then I would say, yes, Texas does have the overbuilt issue on a very long-term basis, though I can't help but just wanting to keep an eye on it because it just seems like a future where we've got reshoring, production coming back, China not playing such a role in manufacturing. That Texas just has the ideal location with port facilities right next to Mexico for low cost manufacturing, having the energy infrastructure, as well as just a ton of additional land to keep building on. So yeah, I hear you on the Texas being overbuilt. I just think it's something to kind of keep an eye on because I think over the next decade, it's going to keep booming. Just with the way everything's lined up.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
So Jeff, you're a little quiet here. Anything you want to throw out? Yeah, Florida
Uh,
native.
no, I think you kind of hit them all. Florida is kind of the obvious choice. People coming from the Northeast to the South. You kind of like I mentioned, most of it looks like there's a lot of southeastern states, and you add to it people going for a little bit warmer clients makes a whole lot of sense why there's a lot of growth in those areas.
Yeah, one thing I would throw in Florida that Florida's always kind of had a boom bust with kind of continual growth, but I suspect the bust might be a bit less because I think one thing we saw in this current wave was some areas like around the Miami area and stuff of Florida really start to become really premier locations for businesses for capital. Like with the Citadel location you had from Chicago, like some of the hedge funds and other money you've seen move from New York. I think that's actually a different thing this wave, where Miami's become, and some areas in Florida, first tier locations for global businesses, global capital be located. And I don't think that's going to change. And I do think you're going to see maybe a little bit less of that bus cycle in Florida going forward than you saw in the past.
Well, I'd also probably add to that the access from the side of transportation, primarily, airports. From Miami, you can be within an hour of three different airports, and then even smaller FBOs, so people can get in and out, on commercial, and fly in and out on private. So there's a lot of access that to South Florida that makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks for the opinions, guys. We'll be keeping an eye and sure updating folks on what we like and what we don't like as we see things develop out there.
Thanks,
Right.
Steve.